Unit 4 Sales and Purchases Modes of Payment. Like we discussed earlier, sometimes we make immediate payment and those sales are called cash sales. But sometimes we might make deferred payment, that means payment is made over a period of time. In case of immediate payment, the entire payment is made to the seller in cash. But deferred installment plan, as we discussed in the previous video, means a nominal amount is paid to the seller at the time of purchase and possession, but the rest of it is paid over a period of time. Sometimes it is possible that instead of installment, the entire amount is paid at the end of an agreed period of credit. Therefore, at the time of sale, कैश सेल का मतलब होता है पूरा पैसा इमीडिएटली सेलर को मिल जाता है। डेफर्ड इंस्टॉलमेंट प्लान का मतलब है थोड़ा सा अमाउंट एट द टाइम ऑफ सेल दिया जाता है, बाकी इंस्टॉलमेंट्स में पे होता है। डेफर्ड पेमेंट एट द एंड ऑफ क्रेडिट पीरियड का मतलब होता है पूरा अमाउंट एक प्री डिसाइडेड टाइम पीरियड के बाद सेलर को मिल जाता है। Selling procedure. The steps in a selling procedure are: first, there is an enquiry from the buyer in order to identify the best available seller. Once that is done, the sellers provide quotation to the buyers about what are the terms and the features that they can provide to the buyer. The buyer compares quotations received from different sellers and then identifies the seller they finally want to make the purchase from. Fourth step is execution of the order. If the order is executed immediately, no confirmation needs to be given because the sale happens. However, if the order is from a new customer, it is possible that the seller will firstly identify the creditworthiness of the buyer and, if not happy with it, sends a letter of regret. Also, it is possible if the goods are not in stock, the date of delivery will then have to be decided on a later date. Once this process is done, a copy of the order is then sent to the buyer with the expected date of delivery. Invoice. Once the copy of the order is issued to the buyer, a detailed invoice containing all details of the transaction, also the amount that has to be paid by the buyer, is sent to the buyer. We need to open an account for the customer if it's a credit sale and the amount is not received immediately. If the account already exists, then we simply keep adding the credit sales amount to the payables. The next step is dispatch of the goods. That means the godown or the production departments checks to see that the goods are according to the order that they have been given, and they issue what is called a dispatch note. A dispatch note contains full description of the goods dispatched and how the buyer will take delivery of the goods. Once the goods are dispatched, they are sent to the buyer. The buyer or his or her agent checks the good thoroughly and takes delivery. Once this is done, the last step is the receipt and payment as well as settlement of the account, which means whatever amount is due is received by the seller. Therefore, to sum it up, there are 9 steps: enquiry from the intending buyer, providing a quotation to the intended buyer, receipt of order from the final buyer, execution of the order, invoicing, opening a customer's account, dispatching the goods, delivery of goods to the buyer, and receipt of payment as well as settlement of accounts. While this process is on, and every effort is made to ensure there are no mistakes. Sometimes there may be certain errors that come in recording of the amounts due and payable. These errors can be rectified by preparing a debit or a credit note by the seller. A credit note is where a seller sends an information to the buyer to reduce the amount that the buyer needs to pay. This may be because the customer has returned some goods, so the amount has come down. It also may be because goods are damaged and therefore are not usable anymore. Or there might be a mistake in the price calculated. So a credit note is a document जो सेलर बायर को भेजता है ये बोलने के लिए कि उसे कम पैसे देने होंगे. इसलिए हो सकता है क्योंकि बायर ने कुछ गुड्स वापस करे होंगे, कुछ गुड्स डैमेज हो गए हैं तो इतना अमाउंट पेएबल नहीं है या प्राइसिंग करने में कोई गलत हो गई है. Debit note on the other hand means the buyer needs to pay more than the original transaction. This can be because of an invoice that was not recorded, or if the buyer has received goods that they are yet to pay for and that amount needs to be added. Now, what are the methods for purchase? The first method is purchase by inspection. That means the actual product or the whole lot of product is inspected and only then it is bought. The second method is purchase by sample or pattern. A sample is when you place an order and a small lot is prepared and sent for approval. A pattern is when a standard product is laid out, you can inspect it, and if it meets your approval, you can place an order for such a good. When the buyer wants to buy in bulk, purchase by sample or by pattern is the most popular method to do so. The last mode of purchase is purchase by description or ban. Now, in many cases, it may be not possible for the seller to even give a sample or a pattern. For example, if transaction is for heavy furniture or something like that, in that case, the seller can actually prepare a catalog or a price list, and the customer can place an order keeping in mind the list of the items that he or she has been shown.